y'all. So I don't even know if I'm going to post this or not. But I quit my job today. I quit my job today at a private school in the Baltimore DMV area. And it was rough. Y'all know I'm a teacher. And I've been teaching for over a decade now. I taught for 3 years on a university level as I was finishing my PhD, and 8 years in private school. And any of you that were following me earlier, like when I first started this channel, like back in September or whatever, um, I made a video about black Karens. The black Karens were part of the problem. And so are white people. I know somebody's like, well, why don't you go to a black school, independent school, whatever that case, a public school. When I graduated, I finished my PhD in a lot of places. I'm from Georgia. They would actually not let me teach in public school until I went back to school for like an additional certification degree. And I was like, are you kidding me? I have a PhD in history. Like, are you fucking kidding me? So I didn't. But luckily, I knew another friend in grad school had graduated a year before me and told me about the world of private schools and how, could leverage certain things for your pay, whatever. And the first job I ever got was in New York, which was great because it was on the other coast, as far away from LA as possible. Was I scared? Yes. But I figured it out. And last year I had a very frustrating year at the school I was at in New York. Even though I liked the school, you'll find being a teacher, the adults can make it worse than the kids. I have never left the school because of the kids. I've left it because of the adults and the way they deal with things. And, people keep talking about there's a teacher shortage. There's not a teacher shortage. There's a teacher employment problem because we're underpaid, underappreciated, regardless whether it's public or private. We've created this entire narrative that everything the teacher does is wrong. Anytime we live in this fucking overly sensitive world, anytime you tell a kid what they need to do, even to improve, it's like, oh, how could you tell my kid this? How could you do that? Okay, so if you are paying for your child to go to school and then you want them to graduate high school illiterate, by all means, but I want no part in it. Okay. So I quit today. So I'm gonna read y'all. I'm not gonna go into specifics, although I did have specific names in this email. But I went ahead and did this, and this is whatever. You know what? It's part of me. I don't really like to be involved in conflict if I can avoid it. I don't. Now I do engage in it as necessary, but I hate to do it. I don't like the feeling. I don't like it. It unnerves me. So I said this, and I had planned this out, and I'm gonna tell y'all a little story when I'm done. Dear all, after some deep thought and disappointing experiences at said school, I've decided it is best for me not to return next year. When I imagined not being at said school next year, I felt incredibly relieved over the past 2 weeks. It was apparent to me throughout the year that I am not a welcome nor a trusted part of the school community. I can't imagine this comes as a surprise to the people who made me feel the most unwelcomed, including principal and department chair. Names. All right? We are in a very tense and critical moment in our society, and I'm unwilling to be censored, demoralized, and belittled in the name of blank school culture. I am unwilling to endure the mistreatment that has happened to me this year. Considering how I was treated as a new teacher, I can't imagine the personal attacks, accepted accusations without proper investigation, and the lack of support next year. The professional derailment that has come in the form of pettiness, unconstructive criticism, and unnecessary discord that exists among the adults of the community is a sure and certain way to a professional graveyard. And I will not be a part of such an organization. So with that, I am resigning. The laptop charger and keys are all at my former desk. Everything that belongs to blank school is there. And I ended the email. Now, after I had that Black Karen incident where 2 kids that are like 30 had put on a student survey aggressive, right? Which, first of all, okay, sure. And we know that has racial undertones, overtones, all of that bullshit. But for the black woman in my chair to sit in a room and act like that was the majority of the kids, and when I questioned them about what the other kids said, well, it's the exact opposite. So why are y'all making a big deal out of this? Anyway, then in Black History Month, I was accused of teaching CRT, critical race theory, which, in case y'all don't know, is a very, very complicated legal um, concept that basically the gist is essentially that you cannot separate the history of laws and the present cause of laws from the impact race has had on American society as it relates to the experiences of African Americans now. Okay? Started by Derek Bell at Harvard, and Kimberly Crenshaw is also a part of that founding breaking work. But it's a very complicated, it's very complex. K through 12, people are not teaching that. When people say CRT, what they really mean is black history. What they really mean is not teaching about powerful white men and teaching everybody else that they're invisible in history. Okay? That being said, that week I had that experience with the black Karen Thanksgiving, and I didn't say anything to my family because I didn't want to upset them because I was really upset because I was attacked. I was brought in, I was cornered, and it's called workplace abuse. This is a great woman on TikTok who I've been following. But that week, okay, that happened that Monday. Tuesday was the last day before Thanksgiving, and I remember just driving to my family's house for Thanksgiving, and I was really, upset. But I knew I wasn't going to say anything to my family because I didn't want them to be upset for me. I had switched from New York after being there 8 years. I'm not in New York, but I had grown accustomed to the culture there. Let me tell you how good God is. That Wednesday, as I was driving and I stopped at the gas station or something like that, I looked at my email and I had an email from a supervisor at my previous school who wrote me and said, hey, and these were her words. I shamelessly want to ask if you would be willing to come back next year. We really miss you and what you brought to the table. We're willing to adjust your pay. We're willing to do whatever we can to get you back. Are you willing to talk? That was 2 days after it. And the reason why I'm telling this story, I did not tell my job until today, okay? Until a contract was signed. And I remember before I went into that meeting, I already knew, and you can go back and look at that Black Karen's video, I already felt that it was going to go bad. And I remember, and I couldn't even tell y'all this at the time I made the video, I think it was after that, Oprah giving a commencement speech at Spelman. It was not my graduation, it was a couple of years after. And Oprah said something about how something bad had happened to her. She couldn't even remember what it was, even in the speech. She said, and she called Maya Angelou, and she was crying about it. And Maya Angelou said to her over the phone, stop, and give God thanks. Because you already know you have what you need to get through this. Why do I bring that up? Because I remember having this terrible feeling before I even went to this meeting. They wouldn't tell me what it was about. And I had said in the email, well, what is it about? Which, because I had office hours, which are required for teachers that they try to act like wasn't required. All this shit. And this black woman, she wanted to be the only black person on the job. That kind of silliness. And I remember before I went into that meeting saying to myself, you know what? I'm nervous. And it happened the same day. It was just like, it was messed up. And I said, you know what? And I remember just saying a prayer, thanking God. Just thanking him that I already knew what I had to get through stuff because I had already been through stuff. That was that Monday. Was that meeting terrible? Yes. Did I go home and cry? Yes. Did I talk to my therapist the next day? Yes. And Wednesday I drove home and I got that email. Not because I initiated any contact. But that to me was confirmation, one, that yes, I left New York and went to another state for another job because I just said, I'm not taking this. But I think, and I want to be careful with this, I don't like to play around with God and say, oh yeah, I heard this. I don't play around like that. I'm saying this because I really do believe it in my heart. That was God's way of saying, yes, you're going to go away for a little bit, but I want you back here. And this time, I'm going to make them make it right. And it's not because you came to me in prayer, whining and crying, like you've done so many times, but because you thanked me before you went into that meeting, and it's because I wanted to show you something else. I don't even know if that makes sense to y'all, but that's just my testimony. And I met some good people. I met some terrible people, but God is good, and I'll be back in my job in New York. And the hardest part about this was really keeping it a secret because God had already blessed me. So even as the year got worse with different things, I knew I hadn't told anybody other than my, mother what was going to happen. The hardest part was being like, all right, no, God's delivering me out of this, even while I'm still in it. And today I was able to go. So, anyway, I hope you have a good day. I'll see y'all later for Love and Marriage Huntsville. Just wanted to share. See you soon. Bye.